Good morning. It's Saturday morning and I just dropped Timmy off at dialysis and I'm sitting here in the parking lot of the West Bend Freighter Hospital. There's a pharmacy here and I have to pick up medications for him. This is the same hospital that on June 7th, I was instructed by the physician's assistant to bring him here immediately because the lab results were not looking good at all and he needed immediate medical attention. So I brought him here June 7th, and then on June 9th, we were transferred over to Freighter downtown, and that's where he received the diagnosis of multiple myeloma, stage 3 with renal failure. And I spent a lot of time in this exact parking spot, in this exact vehicle. Wow. I mean, our world has changed a lot since then. Cancer has become kind of the center of our universe in a lot of ways, and driving from our farm to the hospital, sometimes stopping here in between. And this morning, I've just been reflecting on, why do I feel so compelled to share this journey? And I feel compelled to share about it because in a lot of ways, I feel very average and normal. And, I was born and raised in the Midwest. I've lived a lot of other places, but I think, there's something about growing up in a small town in the Midwest. I didn't speak a lot of languages. My family was wonderful, but very normal in many ways. And I think there's something about that kind of made me want to run away from normalcy or run away from average and try to pursue just unique and different and kind of exciting opportunities. And what I found over time, or especially recently, is because I feel there's a lot about, just who I am and kind of how I was raised that feels so average and normal, that I feel I don't know, maybe people can relate to me somehow. Maybe my life experiences can help other people somehow. And I think in the averageness, I think there's so much on social media that looks special and awesome and amazing. And if we could have that life would be wonderful. If we could do those things, life would be amazing. And, there's so much amazing that's just happening right now in the moment in front of us. And this morning, amazing was sitting on my couch, looking at my daughter's Pinterest boards, because she's kind of gathered images of her amazing life. And it wasn't her amazing life that she was curating in Pinterest. It was the time that I spent with her, just sitting there doing something that meant meaning, was awesome for her. For me this morning, it's I'm driving my husband from our farm to dialysis and coming here to the hospital parking lot. And I'm just sitting here looking at I was just so struck by the beauty of the trees changing. And I think just feeling that the awesomeness is life itself, is the fact that we get to take in our next breath. And I think coronavirus, really gave us an opportunity to value the awesomeness of our breath, of being alive. But, and then I think we all kind of woke up to awe and awesomeness for a period of time and appreciated our freedom and our, all of these things that we had taken for granted. And and then like the emergency of that moved on. And I don't know, like I think some people were really changed by it, and others just kind of like wanted to get back to normal. Normal. Let's have normal again, because normal feels safe and good. And on one hand, I totally appreciate and value normalcy. And on another hand, I'm just like, I'm slightly afraid of it. And I'm afraid of, so like this past week, the tides shifted for Tim, and he got amazing news. He's like on track for CAR T cell therapy in a month and a half, and possibly stem cell transplant after that. He had good news from his nephrologist. He may still need a kidney transplant at some point down the road. We're not sure. And I can feel us like sinking into normal routines, which on one hand feels awesome and amazing. On another hand, I'm afraid of, I'm a little bit afraid of the status quo. I'm a little bit afraid of like, if things are normal, will we take each other for granted? And I think there's something really potent and powerful about moments of crisis, wherever they are, whatever they are, whether it's like a wildfire that encroached upon your own land, whether it's a tornado that ripped through your area, whether it's your power went out for an extended period of time and then you had power again, whether it's your husband was diagnosed with cancer and almost died, like we want to move past those moments so fast because they're hard, they're really hard. Crises are not, they're hard. But I think there's something about normalcy that I fear. I don't know how to say this exactly, but I think like when we're just taking things for granted, there's a risk of losing that edge where like we're so present to the value of life. We're so present to the beauty of the moment. We're so present to the value of the person sitting in front of us. We're so present to how much we appreciate what we almost lost, how much we appreciated what we did lose. And I think about the parallels a lot between like this journey that we're traveling and the crisis that we're experiencing on our planet right now. And I'm aware, like I do a lot of like deep dives into the climate research and the science research, related to climate change. And we're like on that cusp of, we're almost about to lose it. And I feel like we're all like so wanting for life to feel normal. And we try to hold on to normal as much as we can because inside of normal, we feel stable. And I've done some work with human design. If any of you know of human design, it's kind of like, a way of assessing your personality and like how you show up in the world and kind of what your propensity is, like what you have a natural propensity towards and like what helps you really thrive. And for me personally, like one of the areas where I thrive is in upheaval. Surprise, surprise. And I feel like I've always kind of gravitated towards like, I kind of wanted to be in the mix of like a lot of stuff happening. And when life felt really stable and I just like, I'm going to go ride my bike around Argentina for 6 months and ride in the Andes because I can. And yeah, it's hard to train for that. And yeah, it's hard to do that. And, you know, somehow that seemed way more interesting and exciting. And it created a lot of upheaval in my life because I just kind of flipped everything upside down and inside out. And, you know, and then I reached another point of stability and then, you know, joined a spiritual order and went and lived in community and said goodbye to my family for a good number of years. And, you know, I've repeatedly like done that where things started to feel normal and stable and steady. And then I'm like, poof, just throw it all up in the air because, but I think for me, what that's been about is like, you know, when there was a whole lot of stability, just that risk of like losing the palpability of, if that's even a word, of like the preciousness of life, of the preciousness of what we have. I've intentionally put myself in hard situations, because it's allowed me to like appreciate all the more. And I don't know, I feel like I felt called to share about, just to share about my journey in hopes that somehow like intentionally like putting myself into hard situations can be useful in some way. Because I think, you know, throwing myself into hard situations, it's not that it was an easy thing to do. It just felt like I felt drawn, like I had to do it. There was parts of me that I couldn't go on living if I didn't, because for me, it was like, I didn't feel alive. So I had to do it. And I think navigating these past several years with Tim, living with chronic pain, there was a whole lot that was really hard about that because I couldn't fix it. I couldn't make it better. And, you know, it was like this time where I really tried to lean into normalcy because we needed a steadiness. We needed some patterns. We needed some routines that like allowed our family to anchor and root and return to each other. And chronic pain was like always in the background. It was always like the bass note that kept playing over and over and over. And I couldn't throw everything up in the air and change it all. I kind of tried to in some ways, but I couldn't because I kept asking pain never went away. And so for Tim, like a normal bedtime routine, a normal wake up routine, a normal food schedule, having like a steady time where we came back to each other, like were the ways that his body could keep going as it was totally crashing. And we didn't know that it was crashing. We didn't know that cancer was taking root and growing exponentially in his body. We just knew that he was hurting and he kept hurting. And so we kept trying to like create normalcy more and more and more because it felt like a means of survival. And there were many times where our garage is like a pole barn and it's detached from our home. And I went out to there to yell, scream, throw my arms up in the air, away from Tim, away from our girls, just to vent my my struggle with like having to have those rigid patterns of normalcy in place because it was survival for him. And I wanted to just throw it all up in the air and like, let's just move to Italy. Let's just go take our girls and travel somewhere. Let's just like, why do we need to have bedtimes? Like, why can't we be like those other families doing exciting, awesome things? Like, I just started to feel like, almost in prison. Because for me, throwing it all up in the air and just felt good to me, and feeling stuck and bound to trying to create these rhythms and routines that allowed my husband to just keep going. That was our life and our world. And now I find myself like, in daily routines that I never imagined I would be in. We are driving literally, like, I drive from our house, which is, it's 40 miles north of town, because that's where, it made sense for us to have a farm, to be able to do the things that we wanted to do. I hoped at some point to not have such a long commute. But here I am, like, I'm commuting back and forth, and I can't change that right now because of the circumstances we're living in. And then the hospital is even further south. So I'm in my car, my clutch went out on my car. So it's sitting in the driveway. It's my most fuel efficient vehicle that I've had since 2001. It's sitting in the driveway of our farm. And I'm driving our gas guzzling truck, which costs about $100 to fill up. In 2 weeks, I think I had to fill it up 4 times. So you do the math on that. And it eats away at me because it rubs against my values for fuel efficiency, for reduced carbon emissions, for, like, I thought I would be that person that could walk or ride my bike wherever I would go, could fit everything that I wanted to own into my vehicle. But in part of the normalcy, like having a farm and having a space where our family could like each come back to each other at the end of the day was the vehicle for us to thrive as a family. It was the vehicle for us to like, I think, have our own individual space where we could each like create and thrive, as we also kind of navigated like our own individual needs. And for my husband, like dark and quiet and away from noise and commotion and activity and busyness was a means of survival for him. I didn't understand it on the level that I understand it now. I knew it was a means of survival, but I didn't understand, like, literally that it was a means of survival for him. And I feel like as cancer progressed, like it was these ways of taking care of himself in the midst of all of it that allowed him to keep going. I feel like I'm talking round and round in circles here. I think what like I really want to say is like, if you're struggling to get through hard times, you are so not alone. Like, there are people everywhere silently struggling through hard times, and maybe they're silently struggling or they are venting and screaming away from you so you don't hear it, and then they post wonderful pictures and life looks amazing. And I'm sorry if I've posted photos or images or pictures that make you think that our world is wonderful. There are wonderful moments, many of them, and there's a lot of hard moments. And but I'll take the hard moments. I will willingly go through the hard moments if I can turn around and help somebody navigate their own hard moments. I know I didn't sign up for easy when I signed up for this life. I signed up to learn. I signed up to serve. I signed up to help. And I think we all did in some ways. I think we all like came in to this life now to do our own work, to find ways to keep showing up in the midst of whatever life throws our way, and to turn around and help each other. We're living in a time, I think time, for as long as humanity has been here. I'm watching Outlander right now, and I was watching Rain, and there's no era of time that's been easy. Our time has unique hardship in it, but there's also so much good. There's so many, just on the healthcare front, that my husband can receive the treatments that he's receiving and continue to go on is amazing. There's challenge and there's strife and there's hardship in our we're on the brink, as a species. And yet, in some ways, I feel, because of all the ways that we're learning and all of the social justice initiatives and equity and inclusion, and it just it's mind-boggling how much good is happening on our planet right now. It's mind-boggling how many people are coming forward to try to make a difference. And we can't look out there for what we're supposed to do. We can't look outside of ourselves for how to make things better. We have to look inside of us first, because the answers for what to do in the midst of a hard moment, how to navigate it, we can look outside for ideas, but we have to always come back to ourselves and ask ourselves, given all this information, given how we see other people navigating these moments, what's the right next best thing for me to do? What's the right next best thing for me to do to navigate this moment now? And I can't answer those things for you, and you can't answer them for me. I know in the midst of the past few weeks of navigating life with Tim, I've also been navigating preparation for a women's TEDx talk. I'm navigating buying my next vehicle, which is, I've got 3 that I'm considering right now, and I'm weighing them immensely, fuel efficiency and what's it going to cost me to drive this car for, to purchase it, to drive it for a year, to drive it for the next 5 years. Which car will have the least carbon emission and make me feel like I can actually live with myself at the end of the day after all of this driving, which really rubs at me. But I wouldn't do it any other way right now because of the world I'm living in with my family and my husband. So I can't believe this started on June 7th, and I'm sitting here staring at the hospital, and it is now October something. I don't even know what the date is. October 14th, 15th, something like that. Life has changed so much since then. And, we're in a new kind of normal. And I'm really doing my best to try to embrace the normalcy while also not letting go of my absolute awareness for and appreciation of the value of life, of breath, of being in this world, of being with the people that we love, of navigating all of the stuff with the people that we love, of the beauty of our emotion, the beauty of our connection, the beauty of community, the beauty of relationships, the beauty of the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, the stuff. It doesn't really mean anything when life is on the line. It helps make us a little more comfortable, when things are normal. But I invite you to embrace embrace the discomfort, embrace upheaval a little, like embrace it for what it can help you value and appreciate. Or maybe just appreciate that normalcy, like appreciate what's there to value and appreciate within normalcy. I don't know what more to say. I'm just feeling a lot right now. And I'm grateful for anyone who's showing up listening to my videos. You're like willing to just be with me through these times. And I'm grateful to be sitting here in this parking lot. Like there were good people there ready to make the call to give Tim the treatment when they did, and that they've put him on track for, the treatment that he's undergoing now and going to be undergoing in the next month. And, last night he made homemade pasta and, pasta fagioli, and we got to sit around and eat wonderful pasta and play Rummikub in our kitchen. And I was like, and I made popcorn. It felt really normal and it felt really happy and good. And I was just like grateful that it just, while it felt normal and wonderful, like I could also just like be just appreciating, like, wow, it's amazing that we get to experience this moment right now. The contrast between like that and what he had been living through like 2 weeks prior. And the fact that he had come so far in such a short period of time. I think life is pretty miraculous. Whether we call it, whether it's like a certifiable miracle or whether it's just the fact that like our heart is beating without us thinking about it. And we have that impulse to take in our next breath. Like, what is more miraculous than that? I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful for the life that you have and the next breath that you have and the way that your heart is beating and the way that you have like unique gifts and talents to bring to this world. And whether you thrive amidst normalcy or you thrive amidst upheaval or someplace in between, like I'm grateful for that. And I pray that you find ways to dive deep into your own inner being, to call out and pull out like the unique gifts that you're here to bring in this amazing time that we're living in right now. Because our world needs you, to be the best version of you that is in there waiting to be born and waiting to be expressed or is already being expressed. Like, it's awesome. And I hope that in some way me sharing what I'm going through gives you more inspiration to lean in to you and to bring that forth, and let it just just let it out. All right. Thanks for hanging in here with me if you listen to this whole video right now. And I wish you a wonderful Saturday, and peace to you, and Godspeed to you and the ones that you love. Take care.